Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and if you're new, welcome. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Today we're out here checking out our compost heating. Yesterday we had built this pile and we had shared all our content related to Jean-Pain heating and building a compost system. I got my little buddy out here. He was checking out the greenhouse. It's nice and warm out here. We're about 65-70 degrees in the greenhouse and it's about 45 degrees outside. So today we're going to be inside checking a few things out, and I wanted to talk about insulation of the greenhouse. I wanted to talk about insulating your greenhouse, what you can use, and some easy ideas for free and cheap insulating factors. So we've had this compost pile built for a day now, and I wanted to see what we're doing here. We just set our fan up and I could physically feel warmer air blowing out of here, about 64 degrees blowing out of there. And that's just ran off a little solar fan. It's hard to see how fast the blades are moving. The camera doesn't seem to want to pick up the actual rate of speed that the blades are moving at, but we've got a completely overcast day. I'm going to hang this little solar panel up somewhere over here, and this will provide a lot of additional heat into the greenhouse. We're pumping cold air from the floor up through our compost and then back out, because right off the bat we've got all this warm air blowing in the greenhouse, and then we're able to hold that in here and continue to passively heat with whatever UV rays come through and a little bit of sun breaks through the clouds. So I just haphazardly had set up my little compost heating water system. So we're going to click this on here, give that just a full run. I'm not even going to turn the timer on. The water's going to pump up through there, out through our compost pile, and then continually flow down through the entire floor of the greenhouse, come back up this side where it's coming up out of the soil here, and then it pops back up and we should have some water flow. So the hose didn't like the angle we were at. We're blowing about 62 degree water out of this right in this little stream here, and when I mess with it, it loses its balance because we're flowing a very small amount. You can see the amount of water. It keeps bouncing because I have this all hooped up and it's filling it all up. So when I lay it flat, it basically purges a bunch of water out. So as long as I leave this little hose and don't touch it, it'll fill up and continue to flow at the normal rate that this is pumping through the pile. It's just hard to read when I'm moving it around and all that stuff. So I got my aquaponics out of here. I've got all of my water. I've got to clean up my overflow tank. I've still got aquaponics rocks. I'll end up refilling this, and when I do, I'm going to insulate around. I'll pull the whole bucket out and insulate that from the soil also. So this will be a nice little hot pot, and we'll be able to keep this warm throughout the winter time. So just for reference, we were starting with about 55 degree, 54 degree water in the actual tub, so we're already transferring a few degrees just having that water sitting in there. We're going to go check our compost pile and see what kind of heat. This has only been about 24 hours since we've started this compost pile. On my way out of the greenhouse here, we've got all this bubble wrap up. I got another cheap $10 roll of bubble wrap. I've got all of my wheat berries going, and that is for a video at a later date here, but we've got some cheap bubble wrap. And I suggest, if you're going to buy bubble wrap and continue to use it, I would buy the UV protected like a pool cover, or try and find a used old recycled pool cover, so you can insulate as long as you get enough light through it, because this stuff really works and it really helped last winter. Those individual little bubbles definitely hold a lot of insulation and don't let a whole lot of transfer. So let's check out our northern wall of our greenhouse. We've been busy collecting a whole bunch of free materials. So we've been doing a little bit of work today. We've accumulated quite a few leaf bags. We got more down at our other greenhouse. We're going to insulate our compost pile with those also. So I basically just put up a makeshift fence. So I'm going to throw the next set of leaf bags up on this compost pile real quick, and then I want to talk about everything, and we'll go check the temps on our compost. I got my thermometer sitting in it. This is the basic gist of free insulation. We've spent lots of money trying to get racks of hay bales, trying to get them at like $5 a piece, getting a large quantity, getting them cheaper. And of course, always recycling everybody else's straw bales from the fall time festivities and decorations and stuff, but it's never quite enough. So using all of these leaf bags is super beneficial to us, because these provide a good 2 foot or more of solid insulation, and these ones are all wrapped up. I mean, the bottoms will get wet, but this is basically just a tunnel, and we're gonna pinch all that down and strap all this up. But we've got a solid wall of insulation on the entire northern side of the greenhouse. And this will provide great insulation for the whole entire backdrop over here. We just triple or quadrupled our retention value of heat on our northern wall, our shady side. This is always in the shade in the winter time, so we're able to keep all of this insulated for free. And this is just a great idea because you can compost these leaves if you get enough of them. If you don't have enough organic material to start yourself a hot compost pile here. So I took the tarp off this a little while ago. You can see it broke down quite a bit. We're gonna get some wood chips acquired and kind of break this all apart, fill it in with wood chips, so lots of nitrogen, and then we will throw more leaf bags up and basically put a big ring up and just have a large mound that's tarped just like our large compost pile. So let's check this. We've got it was about 100. It's sitting about 90, little under 90 degrees right now. And this is probably losing a lot of heat right here because we don't have this covered anymore. And some of this stuff is like dry on the outside. And it's pretty chilly out this morning, so I'm glad to see some good temps coming off of that little compost pile. So we're gonna want this to be probably about 3 times the size before winter really hit. So coming back in the greenhouse here, I can physically feel and hear how sound deadening that wall is back there. We don't have all our bubble wrap up. I gotta roll this up and fix all that, get us situated for winter. All this retention value and insulation value we added to the northern side of our greenhouse is absolutely crucial for us in winter because we're not trying to waste all of this compost heat and energy that we're putting into building all this and running all these systems. We want to be as efficient and self-sufficient as possible. This little greenhouse has proven to be a very self-sufficient greenhouse in itself. We can cover all of these tarps. We've got our little tunnel here. We've got some lettuce and our chickens came through and tore up a lot of the sprout. But with the compost heating of the air and the compost heating of water and the floor and these stones, we're passively able to hold quite a bit of heat in this little greenhouse and just kind of re-release it at nighttime. And we don't lose a whole lot to the outside, even in this little DIY hoop house, which are very, very hard to insulate because the plastic has like little to no retention value of insulation. As soon as you got air moving, you're basically losing all the heat and exchanging it with the outside. And you have to have some type of ventilation. You can't just have it stagnant all the time. So being able to add insulation to this is going to benefit us all winter long. We've already got all of these peas and a whole bunch of mustard and all types of leeks and lettuces, all types of stuff. Got a little bit of kale in here, and we're going to continue planting. We've got kale we saved from our chickens, kept eating it, so we're going to get everything planted out in here. And now that we've got our system halfway up and running, we've got some quick heat to the greenhouse. We should be in good shape. I just got to get a little more cleaned up and everything's ready to roll.